today we'll be talking about what we know about the characters' human lives, with a lot of this information being hinted at in early live streams back before the pilot itself even aired in 2019. That makes these live streams about as old as the Neolithic Ice Age, and a lot of details have likely been changed. We'll even be discussing some of the origins of the characters in their earlier comic book form that we definitely know are no longer canon. For now, just take everything you hear with a grain of salt, as we won't start getting the real backstories for these characters until about Season 2. Number 1. Alistair. Alistair is well known to have lived in the early 1900s and died in the 1930s. At this point, he was well into his adult life and had established himself as a host on a popular radio show around New Orleans. He had believed radio to be the height of human invention and sees TV and screen-based technology as a passing fad. Alistair was said in live streams to be close to his mother, who he still visits while in hell, and who he may even see at some point in the show. Alistair's positive relationship with his mother led him to have a positive view of women overall, but the same cannot be said for his views on men. Alistair's father was claimed to be absent early on, with Alistair's mother being the one who raised him. Alistair was said to be Creole, having a sort of mixed heritage including French, which he can speak to some degree, as well as African. Alistair and his mother were very into their local culture, with Alistair loving his mother's jambalaya in particular, as noted in the pilot. Popular in that culture is also voodoo, which Alistair appears to have used on Earth, with its symbolism and such following him into his theme in Hell, which has led to a lot of controversy for the production crew. VivziePop said that Alistair was a prolific serial killer while on Earth, though did not confirm whether or not he was also a cannibal. Though considering how happy he is to indulge in eating the flesh of other demons, it seems that murdering and cannibalism were connected when he was on Earth as well. Despite being a serial killer, Alistair was not one to target people we might think of as more innocent, however, with VivziePop indicating that he had a moral code similar to the TV serial killer Dexter, possibly even taught by his mother the way Dexter was taught by his dad. In the prequel comic that VivziePop released before the series aired on Amazon, Alistair was shown to not just target other men like himself for violence and cannibalism, but specifically had a hatred for anyone who targeted women or even just softer-natured demons overall. He was described as finding women pleasant in general and tends to appreciate them more so for company than men. Men, on the other hand, he sees as a list of their worst traits. He treats men as active agents in the world, playing in some sort of game of power and oppression, but sees women as being innocent bystanders worthy of our protection. Early on, it was said that Alistair died on Earth from being shot in a hunting accident by a man who mistook him for a deer. Because of this, he manifested with a bit of a deer theme when he became a sinner in hell. It's been theorized for a long time now that Alistair was in the woods on that day doing something related to murder or cannibalism, perhaps trying to dispose of the leftover parts of the body that he can't eat or what have you, having his death linked rather ironically to his sins. He was shot by a man who was looking to eat some deer, and thus he becomes a deer, an animal to be hunted, but he himself spent his life as the hunter, perhaps even feasting on the humans around him. Number 2. Angel Dust. Angel was known as Anthony on Earth, as we can see from his contract with Valentino, and was said to live with his Italian mafia family in New York. In the Addict music video, Angel references having overdosed and then being in a coma, though that isn't exactly an explicit confirmation on his death. Before that, Angel's death was referenced in a comic strip by VivziePop, from a time before the pilot when the Hazbin Hotel characters and story were meant to be a subplot within the greater world of Zoophobia. Zoophobia was an amazing webcomic where hell was just a sort of secondary location to explore here and there, with the Hazbin Hotel arc being planned for several volumes down the road. The comic only ever finished one full volume, not getting close to the Hazbin Hotel arc, but VivziePop loved the characters and stories so much that she decided to spin them off into their own show, where a lot of the characters' plots and stories were severely reworked into what we have now. In these old comic strips meant to prepare people for the Hazbin Hotel arc, Angel is shown being tortured by an angel named Adina, who many think of as the inspiration for the character Sarah in the show currently. Adina is an angel who believes all sinners deserve their punishment and is trying to round up the Hazbin Hotel sinners who have managed to escape hell. Her power causes Angel extreme pain while he remembers his time on Earth, specifically his death. Here, we can see that Angel was killed in a gunfight by his brother's side, doing some sort of job on behalf of their family crime ring. Around the time of the pilot, VivziePop had said that Angel's family will be in the show, and there was even a fun animatic of Angel doing stand-up comedy that featured his father and brother in the audience. Angel was said to die a decade or so after Alistair in the swing of the 1940s, a particularly fun era for Italian gangsters. While alive, Angel was said to have to hide his sexuality, but did not maintain that in hell. After he died on Earth, Angel was said to work with his family for a short time before abandoning them to pursue his career as an adult film star. His dad took the name of Hen Rowan, a reference to heroin, which appeared...
If you haven't tried Native's shampoo and conditioner, then watch this.
Whoa. Native sucks, Native sucks, Native sucks.
Mermaid of Hen Rowan, a reference to heroin, which appears to be the main drug that he deals in hell, but they were implied to have their hands in all sorts of dirty dealings down there. Angel Dust took his name for the drug he likes to partake in the most, though VivziePop noted at one point that she wasn't sure which drug Angel overdosed on. While on Earth, Angel was close with his sister Molly, who VivziePop explained lived in heaven with their mother, with us eventually seeing Molly in the background of heaven when Charlie goes to visit in the actual show. Next up is Vaggie. Vaggie is of course not a sinner, but an exorcist from heaven, and right now there is apparently debate about whether or not she had a life on Earth before this. I remember hearing that exorcists were descendants of Adam, but some people think when Adam said, "I made you," he was being very literal, and that Vaggie and the exorcists are not earth-born humans, but rather divine beings made by Adam himself to be in his army. Assuming she did have a life on Earth, she was said early on to have been Salvadorian and heavily involved with a crime ring there. In the Zoophobia comic strips, Vaggie was shown to have intense feelings about being in hell, as at that time she wasn't planned to be an angel. She in fact emphasized that she had done some bad stuff, but that she knew other people that had done worse things than her who didn't end up in hell being punished. This